What is up, guys? RSC6414 here, back with another video. This time I'm reviewing SmackDown. I had to work tonight, but luckily I was able to watch it ahead of time online somewhere, so I could be able to do the review for you guys and get updated before Money in the Bank and see some of the matches. And it turned out to be a pretty good show for a go-away SmackDown. I enjoyed it. There's some good segments, especially the Diva segment, which I'll get to in a second. But we start off here with Daniel Bryan versus Christian. Really good match. I'd say the best match of the night. Really good stuff. Back and forth action. It was really enjoyable stuff. Daniel Bryan was hit with a spine buster on Christian early in the match. That was for a near fall. Later on in the match, Daniel Bryan hit a running knee on Christian off the ring apron, which is a pretty cool spot there, like Daniel Bryan usually does. Daniel Bryan was going to run. He had Christian up against the turnbuckles in the corner, pinned up against him. He was going for his running drop kick that he usually does. But out of nowhere, Christian came running right towards him, right when Bryan was running towards him, hits Daniel Bryan with a spear for a near fall. I thought it could be it, but it wasn't. Bryan kicked out at 2.5 there. And then we've got Daniel Bryan ends up putting the yes lock on Christian, which Christian goes for a move. Daniel Bryan ducks and then throws Christian to the ground and puts him in the yes lock, or the Lavelle lock, I guess you could call it. And Christian ends up tapping out. Daniel Bryan wins. Good stuff there. I'd say it was probably the best match of the night, in my opinion, on tonight's show, but it was good. Good build for Money in the Bank. Next match we have Seth Rollins of the Shield versus Jey Uso of the Usos. Pretty good match. Sort of short, but it was good for what it was worth. Early on in the match, Seth Rollins gets kicked by Jimmy Uso. There were a couple times where Rollins would get kicked by one of the Usos' powerful super kick kind of things. They generally go for near falls. Then on the outside of the ring, the Usos, Jimmy Uso on the outside of the ring, who accompanied Jey, and then Roman Reigns, who accompanied Seth Rollins. Reigns gets taken out by Jimmy Uso on the outside of the ring, and then Jey Uso does a Samoan backdrop for a near fall. I thought it could be it there. Going in, I figured Seth Rollins would probably win, but wasn't sure. So for a moment there, I thought Jey Uso could pull off a win on that Samoan backdrop. But then Jimmy Uso is cheering on Jey from the outside of the ring. Doesn't see Reigns. Reigns clotheslines one of the Usos, Jimmy Uso, on the outside the ring. And then Jey Uso's on top of the ropes. Looks like he's going for a frog splash. Rollins hits the ropes and pins. Then Jey Uso gets stuck on the top rope, and then gets hit with Seth Rollins' finisher, where he stomps Jey Uso's head right into the ring canvas for a 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins wins. Again, not much of a surprise, but a pretty solid match. Then that takes us to Curtis Axel versus Chris Jericho. If you remember, Jericho beat Axel on Raw in a really good match, I thought. This match turned out to be good, not as good, but still pretty good. I did not like the way the ending happened, but I'll get to that in a sec. Chris Jericho hits a missile dropkick on Curtis Axel early on in the match. That's a near fall. Then you got a crossbody / lateral press on the later on in the match. Chris Jericho hits it on Curtis Axel. It's a near fall as well. And then you have the running bulldog on Chris Jericho. He goes for the lion salt, misses, and then later on in the match, Curtis Axel goes for a move. Chris Jericho counters and delivers the code breaker on the ropes. That's right. Curtis Axel was on the outside of the ropes on the ring apron, and then Chris Jericho nails him with a code breaker on the ropes. Never seen that before. Axel falls off the ring apron onto the floor on the outside, Heyman's trying to get him to regain consciousness, but right when Axel's about to get in the ring, the 10 count happens, and Chris Jericho wins via count out. I did not like the way they ended this. I thought that Curtis Axel should have picked up the win since Jericho won at Raw. It'd be good for his Intercontinental Championship match to regain some momentum and take that into Money in the Bank. I did not really like how Jericho won, but Curtis Axel probably winning Money in the Bank anyway, so it really doesn't matter, I guess. But I think it would have been good to give him the W, but you know, what are you going to do, I guess? Good match, just didn't like the ending. Next match we have Miz versus Ryback. Pretty solid match, nothing great. I'd say just decent, better than the one at Raw because Ryback didn't quit this time, but for what it was worth, it was alright. Nothing great. Sort of, probably one of the worst, I'd say it was the worst match, one of the worst matches, not the worst match of the night. But what happens is, Miz hits Ryback's back of his leg and or kneecap and his back of his leg on his knee, and then Ryback's like, oh, I'm hurt, I'm in pain. And then you think maybe he'll quit and they'll go back with that cryback stupid little gimmick, and he sort of fakes it for a second and then clotheslines the Miz, puts him in the shell shock, delivers the shell shock, and beats Miz via pinfall, via shell shock. 1, 2, 3, Ryback wins. Okay match, but it was whatever, 4 or 5 minutes, nothing special. Next match we have, or next thing we have is a Renee Young segment in the back with Sheamus interviewing him. Sheamus says he's going to win the Money in the Bank. Basically, he says he doesn't climb ladders much, but he's going to climb this ladder and take the briefcase, and basically walks off. Then we have a first ever Divas contract signing for the championship. Kaitlyn and AJ are in the ring. Teddy Long was in the ring as well as some of the other divas, and of course Big E Langston, who accompanies AJ. AJ signs the contract, basically tries to talk Kaitlyn out of signing it because of the consequences that will happen after. She signs it anyway, and then AJ reads some of the text that she sent, that Kaitlyn sent the secret admirer, which was AJ, obviously, who was faking to be the secret admirer. She shows the WWE Universe, the fans in the stands, or whatever, some text messages she sent. One was dissing Natalia, saying it's hard to believe a Natalia or a Nat Hart. And then she says the Funkadactyls are too focused on their Total Divas E-show to know what's going on, so it's hard to trust them. Basically backstabbing some of the friends, so-called, I guess. And dissing Kaitlyn, messing up some of her relationships with her friends. And then Kaitlyn gets angry. AJ's basically saying she's strong and calls her Hulk and stuff like that, just insulting her. Kaitlyn's had enough. AJ hits Kaitlyn, and then when Kaitlyn's criticizing AJ and says at least she's not doesn't go out with every guy in the WWE sort of thing, then Kaitlyn gets angry, hits AJ, pushes the desk up against the turnbuckle, pins AJ in the corner, and starts beating the crap out of her. It was pretty funny. I really liked this segment. Great build for the Divas. Title match on Sunday at Money in the Bank. This is a good segment. And then right when Big E pulls Kaitlyn off of AJ, and then Kaitlyn slaps Big E across the face, and then nails the mess out of AJ like she did on Raw. AJ does like a flip because she hit her so hard with the spear. It was probably some of both of AJ doing a good job selling it and Kaitlyn doing a good job with the spear. So it was good stuff there on both ends. I enjoyed it. Probably one of the best Divas segments I've ever seen, actually. But good stuff. Next thing we have is we also have Teddy Long earlier in the night saying, Dolph Ziggler, I'm giving you the night off because I don't want you to interfere in Del Rio's matches, etc., etc. Don't get involved and don't interfere or anything like that. Dolph says he wants to be in a match, but Teddy says no, and that's basically that. Then we go to a match, Fandango versus Wade Barrett. This match was really short, probably one of the worst matches of the night. Probably 3 minutes long. I'd say it was one of them. Wade Barrett's going for hits him with a couple kicks to the skull for a near fall, and then out of nowhere, Fandango rolls Barrett up off an Irish whip. Barrett Irish whips Fandango. Fandango grabs Wade Barrett, rolls him up, and pins him for the 1-2-3. Fandango wins, and then you have Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow and Jack Swagger and Cesaro and Coulter arguing ringside, who were out there because Coulter called Sandow un-American and doesn't even know if he's a legal immigrant from the country when really he's from the United States. Obviously he is from the United States. You can Google it. It was sort of dumb, but he said with a name like Sandow he wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't from the U.S. It was sort of dumb because obviously we know Sandow's from the United States. Same with Cody Rhodes. And basically they argue ringside, exchange words, and then that's basically it, building the match for World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank. Then we have Sin Cara versus Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio's in the ring. Sin Cara comes running out, hits Del Rio right away, just goes at him, and then hits a zigzag. So it was Dolph Ziggler in a Sin Cara mask. You could tell because he was taller and less tan, I guess you could say, than Sin Cara, so his skin complexion was different and he was taller, so you could tell it wasn't Sin Cara. And he delivers the zigzag on Del Rio, walks off, just throws it up like that, and then does his little show-off thing, and that's basically it. So that match ends in a no contest. Obviously, probably the worst one of the night if you even consider it a match. I guess it was good build for the World Heavyweight Championship somewhat, but nothing great. I wouldn't say it was great, but it was okay. And that's all I'll say about that. Then Vicky Guerrero comes out and says she wants Teddy Long fired, squeals at the top of her lungs. Security ends up escorting her out. And then backstage, Dolph Ziggler says congrats to Sin Cara, good job, and Sin Cara doesn't know what he's talking about, the real Sin Cara, and Teddy Long's there too and says, what happened, Sin Cara? But it was obvious it was Dolph Ziggler, and it was kind of a funny little joke segment back there, but gave me a good laugh, I guess, so whatever segment. Then we go to the main event, Randy Orton versus Sheamus. This match was whatever. I wasn't too excited about it, considering I'm not a huge fan of either one, but Sheamus gets thrown in the steel steps early on. Then he's going for a move off the top ropes, but Randy Orton pushes Sheamus off, and Randy Orton, they both fall off the top ropes and land pretty hard on the outside. Then here comes Daniel Bryan running down the entrance ramp, picks up a ladder like he did on Raw, slams Orton and Sheamus both with the ladder, starts climbing the ladder like he's going to grab the briefcase. Then here comes Christian. He comes down, hits Bryan off of it, and then Christian gets pushed off the ladder. Then here comes Randy Orton. Daniel Bryan's back in the ring. Randy Orton RKO's Daniel Bryan. And then Randy Orton climbs the ladder, takes the briefcase off, holds it up like this. And then that's basically the end of the show, with Randy Orton holding the Money in the Bank briefcase, giving him some momentum and build going into the All-Stars ladder match. Whatever, okay stuff at the end to build the All-Stars ladder match. Can't complain. Decent build. And a pretty good SmackDown go-home show. I enjoyed it. So yeah, the overall grade I give SmackDown is a 6 out of 10. Decent show. Nothing special. I'd say it was above mediocre considering there were 2 or 3 matches that were really entertaining to me. So yes, I give it a 6 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed my review. Check out my other videos and subscribe.